Good morning and welcome. Today's Brexit session, we're going to focus on the construction sector. My name again is Deirdre Farrelly and I will moderate today's session. So we're joined this morning by our panellist Michael Smith from NSAI's Brexit Unit. Hi Michael, you're very welcome. And John Wickham, Senior Advisor at the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage. Morning, John. So just to give you, I suppose you all know what it's about. It's about construction product certification and regulation and the changes. So we're going to look at that in detail over the next 45 minutes. And to give you a quick run through of today's agenda, we'll begin by hearing from John, and then we'll hand over to Michael. And after that, we should have plenty of time for Q&A. So please feel free to, we love to hear from participants. Please feel free to put your questions in the webinar chat, in the chat function there. And we will deal with those as best we can at the end of the session. So let's get started. Over to you, John, if you wouldn't mind sharing your screen there, and we'll get going. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much for attending this morning's webinar. It's great to see such a wide cross-section of the industry here today. Government departments and agencies have been working hard over the last period to ensure that we're ready for Brexit. A large part of that is working with you as stakeholders to ensure that you do likewise. So since January of 2018, we've had ongoing communications with the industry, the professional bodies, the economic operators, manufacturers, importers and distributors to make sure that I suppose that everyone is aware of what's coming down the tracks, that people have been kept abreast of the EU notices that have been issued on the matter. As recently as August, we would have circulated the EU readiness notices to 120,000 people registered with the Building Control Management System. The decision for the UK to leave the EU presents unprecedented challenges for us, and the way we deal with these challenges will shape the industry into the future. The withdrawal agreement facilitates an orderly departure and includes the protocol for Northern Ireland, which protects the peace process, avoids a hard border on the island of Ireland, and preserves the integrity of the EU customs union and the single market which Ireland's place is within. So regardless of the outcome of future relationship negotiations, the provisions of the withdrawal agreement and the protocol will apply. The government has published its readiness action plan in early September, and that is there to promote the necessary changes that industry will need to make at the end of the transition period, which is now less than 3 months away. Although the negotiations continue to over the next period, a number of outcomes are very clear. And that is, the most significant is that the UK will no longer be part of the EU single market or the customs union, and no outcome of the negotiations are going to change that. And this means that business needs to be prepared regardless of their size. Anyone who moves goods to and from Great Britain will be impacted by this and need to get familiar with the customs formalities and the regulatory requirements. So I suppose the primary focus of my discussion is to talk about the construction products regulation. I'm just trying to move these slides here now. Oops, there we go. And to raise awareness amongst manufacturers, importers, distributors, and end users of what the implications will be. We're encouraging suppliers and those that are trading in goods with Great Britain to assess their supply chain, satisfy themselves that they have supply chain continuity and that it's resilient and can be maintained at the end of the Brexit transition period. We obviously want to promote the construction products regulation and ensure that products continue to be lawfully marketed on the EU and into Ireland. Declarations of performances, which are a key feature of the construction products regulations, need to be credible and continue to be relied upon by end users when they in turn need to decide on products which are fit for their purpose and to show compliance with building regulations. So on behalf of the department, I'm delighted to collaborate with NSAI Brexit Unit on these preparations and be available to support the industry in any way we can as we face the risks associated with Brexit. So just a little bit of a recap on the CPR, how it works. It's in place to facilitate the free movement of goods across the EU, places the obligations on the manufacturers, importers and distributors, came into effect in 2013. And it's a regulation applies across the EU without any transposition requirements. It relies on a system of harmonized technical specifications. For traditional products, these are harmonized standards. They are mandatory to be used. It is a legal requirement to demonstrate compliance with your product by using the harmonized standard. A voluntary route to CE marking is in the form of European technical assessments, and they offer a route for manufacturers of innovative type products to get a passport to the market. So part of the features of the CPR would be the involvement of third-party bodies, which would carry out assessment of the product to ensure that it complies with, I suppose, performance safety rules, and ensure that the level of involvement is proportionate to the risk, and that's something that's decided by the EU Commission. There is an agreed framework of notified bodies that across Europe that everyone has the common rules to apply for notified bodies, and that means that we've got a level playing field in terms of the oversight of the third parties. So once a manufacturer has made a product that is conforming with a harmonized standard, they draw up a DOP, and then they affix the CE mark to that product. That enables the product then to be legally placed on the market in any EU country and be traded across the single market. Oversight of that is, I suppose, monitored by market surveillance. And they carry out the necessary checks to ensure that the products that are placed on the market comply with the requirements of the CPR. So just in terms of just the main players in this, the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage is a notifying authority. Up until this point, I suppose up until early 2018, we had appointed one notified body and one technical assessment body in Ireland. Since the Brexit has happened, there has been a movement of UK notified bodies to legally establish themselves in Ireland. So now at this point in time, we have 8 notified bodies, Irish notified bodies, Irish entities established in Ireland. Their competency has been assessed by the Irish National Accreditation Board. And we have 3 technical assessment bodies who perform, I suppose, the duties for the European technical assessments. The Commission hosts all of the designated bodies on the NANDO CPR database, and that's where you'll go to find all of the bodies across the EU that have been assessed, that their competence is sufficient to be listed as an official body. So there has been, Brexit has placed a sharp focus on ensuring that we have a compliant regime in place, and particularly in the area of market surveillance. The government has published draft legislation to address the complex issues that can arise, and part of this is also looking at market surveillance. The Brexit Omnibus Bill, which has been published, Head 21 of that, is, I suppose, what it does, it includes a provision that one body, a competent authority, will be in a position to be able to carry out the function of market surveillance on a national remit. Up until this point, 31 building control authorities were the market surveillance authorities. The movement towards a centralised, well-resourced and dedicated team of market surveillance officers within a local authority, which happens to be Dublin City Council, will be a huge strengthening provision to market surveillance. It will allow for the arrangements to forge relationships with customs and to be able to have a dedicated risk assessment to inspections to ensure that we've got a compliant level playing field for businesses and to ensure the credibility and the upkeep of CPR. So I mentioned before just the level of third-party oversight that's involved with the various products. This is something that's largely decided by the Commission themselves. They look at each product standard. There's 450 product standards, and they categorize them in terms of which one needs to have a third-party involvement. There's some that don't have any third-party involvement, but the main focus of our discussion today, we'll be talking about the ones that do. They range from test laboratories to factory production control certification bodies to full product certification bodies. The most important document that I think that if people have not become aware of this before, that they should look at the notice to stakeholders. This is the communication from the EU themselves on the preparations that businesses, end users, economic operators need to have an awareness of as the end of the transition period approaches. And I'm just going to summarize some of the key principles of that notice. So in essence, the CPR will continue to apply in Ireland. Manufacturers, distributors, importers, and authorised officers must continue to comply with their obligations of the CPR when placing the product on the market. Importantly, some of the key operators, authorised representatives, and importers, they must be established within an EU 27. In doing so, I suppose the relationship at the moment where businesses trade goods between the UK and Ireland, they would be considered to be a distributor under the CPR. But now, seeing that the UK is now a third country, those distributors will become importers, and with that, it carries extra obligations. They need to take on most of the responsibilities of the manufacturer themselves and make sure that they have done the due diligence on the certification that underlies the particular product. And that is something that people will need to be fully abreast of come the end of transition period. I know Michael's going to talk about this a little bit later in detail of the permutations that can arise between trading to and from Ireland into Northern Ireland or into Great Britain, but primarily my focus will be just on the CPR and product entering the island or entering the Republic of Ireland. So a key component of the notice to stakeholders as well is that the UK bodies will use their status as an EU body at the end of the transition period. So economic operators who rely on certification from UK bodies will have to have certificates under the responsibility of an EU 27 body to continue to show compliance with the CPR at the end of the transition period. So in practice, what this means is that they will have to arrange a transfer of their files and their certificates from a UK body to an EU 27 body, or apply for a new certificate with an EU 27 body. Either of these steps must be taken before 31st of December 2020. The UK Accreditation Service will also cease to have be a national accreditation body within the meaning of the Regulation 765/2008. So within the harmonised sphere of marketing of construction products, UCAS will no longer have a role. The European Accreditation Body have recently published there in mid-September their their future relationship with UCAS. So we might touch on that a little bit later. So from an end user's perspective, builders, specifiers, designers, they need to be aware of the impacts of these changes and how, I suppose, it will impact on their reliance on the declaration of performance and what they place their credibility in when they're certifying buildings and ensuring compliance with building regulations, for example. The department has just recently published some updated FAQs to support industry at the as we come towards the end of the transition period, and those FAQs are now on the department's website. The link is below. It talks about the relevant impacts on the economic operators. Deals a little bit with the Northern Ireland protocol for the trade of products going north and the trade of products from Great Britain. It outlines some of the questions that we've received over the last period from specifiers, builders, designers, etc., about the interaction between such matters as references to British standards within technical guidance documents or reliance on the UCAS for non-harmonised construction products and systems. So there's a range of about 20 questions that are published there, which will go a large way to, I suppose, improving everyone's awareness of what is coming down the track and how we relate to those challenges ahead. It is a live document at the end of the day, and we're always happy to update it as questions arise. So finally, just in terms of Brexit readiness, I've just included some links here to various documents that will help support your awareness of what will happen at the end of the transition period. And also, I suppose there's a link there, importantly, for the businesses to be aware of their customs responsibilities. And that's pretty much my presentation. Any queries on the frequently asked questions, please feel free to send them to buildingstandards@housing.gov.ie, and we're happy, as we said again, to be part of this presentation and collaboration with NSAI Brexit Unit. And we remain available to support industry in whatever way we can as we move towards the end of the transition period. Thank you.
Okay, John, thank you so much. That's great. Okay, I see we are coming up to 11:20. So Michael, we're going to hand straight over to you. If you wouldn't mind sharing your screen there, please.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Michael Smith, as you can see, and I work in the Brexit unit here in NSAI. And I'm going to talk today about the impact on businesses buying and selling construction products, both from the UK, from Great Britain and from Northern Ireland. So firstly, where are we in the Brexit process? Well, on the 17th of October 2019, Boris Johnson agreed the withdrawal agreement, and it was signed with the EU. Included within that is a protocol on Ireland, Northern Ireland, which will play a big part in my presentation later. A key date, on the 31st of January this year, the UK formally left the EU. It is no longer a member. In doing so, we entered a transition period until the 31st of December this year, i.e. in 86 days' time, when EU law continues to apply in the UK, as if the UK was still a member state. As we are well aware, future partnership negotiations are ongoing and indeed have been extended in the last couple of days to see if final agreement could be reached. So are you ready for the 1st of the 1st, 21, that key date when Brexit finally becomes real? As I said, there are only 86 days left to the end of the transition period. The government decided in May to start carrying out readiness work on the basis of two scenarios. Firstly, a limited free trade agreement with very limited coverage for construction products, or a hard Brexit with the EU and UK trading on WTO terms. Following on from that, we got to be aware that change will come next year, no matter what is agreed, whether there is a limited agreement or whether there is no agreement. The government, in preparation, published a Brexit Readiness Action Plan on the 9th of September. It sets out the actions that the government will take, businesses should take, and individuals should take to address the changes that are coming and to reduce the risks to them. They also published a general scheme of what is colloquially known as the Brexit Omnibus Bill, which will include any necessary changes that need to be implemented before the end of the year. And there's more information on the government website, as you can see below. I've already mentioned the protocol in Ireland, Northern Ireland, and that will have a big impact on trade in this island. The protocol there is there to protect the Good Friday Agreement, underpins North-South cooperation, and forms a basis for the all-island economy. It will apply from the 1st of January 2021, and it avoids a hard border on the island of Ireland and protects Ireland's place in the EU single market and the EU customs union. Most of the changes applying to trade with Great Britain will not apply to trade in Northern Ireland, and that is important, and we will see the differences later on in my presentation. And EU product legislation will continue to apply in Northern Ireland as if it were a member state, which means that goods moving to and from Northern Ireland will largely continue to do so as they are moving today. Included in the protocol is provision for a new CE UK NI mark. This is an indication in respect of products published or products manufactured in Northern Ireland. For construction products, they will have to still obey the EU's construction product regulation and follow European harmonised standards. They will be certified by UK notified bodies, though the details on how that will happen are still being discussed at the special committee on the protocol. They will be marked with a mark, a CE UK NI mark, or any of the similar equivalents, such as Queen mark or the Pi mark. However, products bearing the CE UK NI mark cannot be placed on the Irish or EU market. They can only be placed on the Northern Ireland market. So quick summary of the procedures concerning importing construction products into the EU. They must follow the construction products regulation, and it applies to all construction products placed on the EU market, no matter where they are manufactured. So it is not where the product is manufactured that matters, it's where it's placed in the market, i.e. within the EU. Imported products must be marked with a CE mark. They must be certified by an EU notified body or TAB where required by CPR, and they must have a valid EU declaration of performance to be able to be placed legally on the EU market. Now, importing products from Great Britain. From the 1st of January, you will become an importer as Great Britain will have, as the UK will have left the European Union, and you will take on additional responsibilities under Article 13 of the Construction Products Regulation. You should start now finding out what those additional responsibilities will be if you import products from Great Britain. You should talk to your suppliers in Great Britain so that they will be able to help you fulfill your obligations. You should ensure that you'll be able to get the additional information you need and assurances from them. And you should be able to access the technical file if required by the market surveillance authorities, which, as John said earlier, is the National Building Control Office. And their details must now be included on the packaging and the product information leaflets, similar to the way that the manufacturer's information and contact details are included. So if you're currently importing from the UK, the UK manufacturer will be a manufacturer under EU law. His customer in the EU is a distributor under EU law, and any subsequent customers that they sell on to are also distributors. However, from the 1st of January, a producer in Great Britain will still be defined as a manufacturer, but when they sell to a customer in Ireland or anywhere else in the EU, that customer will now be an importer and will take on those additional responsibilities. However, when they sell on the product to their customers, they will still remain distributors because they will be purchasing from somebody within the EU. Buying products from Northern Ireland will be somewhat different. Northern Ireland will be treated as if it's a member of the EU single market under the protocol. The current rules will continue to apply to Northern Ireland manufacturers. Their products must be marked with a CE mark for them to be imported across the border. They must be certified by an EU notified body or TAB, and they must be accompanied by an EU declaration of performance. And products marked with the new CE UK NI mark cannot be placed on the EU market. So be aware of that when you're buying products in Northern Ireland. Check the mark that it will have and check the declaration of performance. So for importing products from Northern Ireland next year, the manufacturer is still a manufacturer under EU law. The first person purchasing from them will be a distributor still, because they are all part of the EU single market, and their customers also remain as a distributor. So that is the difference between Northern Ireland and Great Britain. For importing from Great Britain, you are an importer and have additional responsibilities. For importing from Northern Ireland, you remain a distributor and you take on no additional responsibilities. Accessing the Great Britain market. As we know, there's a significant trade in construction products between Ireland and the UK, and we want that to continue into the future. However, there are new rules will be applying. The Construction Products Amendment, etc., EU Exit Regulations 2019, bring the EU Construction Products Regulation fully into UK law. You must have your conformity assessment carried out by a UK approved body, not by an EU notified body. It must be marked with the new UKCA mark, and it must be accompanied by a UK declaration of performance. It's basically the same system in the EU, but transferred into UK law with UK equivalents. There is a transition period until the 31st of December next year, when you can continue to place CE marked products on the Great Britain market. However, you should start preparing for the changes coming at the end of next year anyway. As your Great Britain customers will become importers under EU law, which means that they will take on additional responsibilities. They'll be required to be able to access a copy of your product's technical file, and you should start preparing that now. However, there is a word of warning on that. The UK government has said that it will amend the regulations, and that the amended statutory instrument will come into effect on the 1st of January 2021. Therefore, you need to keep an eye on to see if it changes and what changes will be from what I've already told you. And there's more information on the UK government website and the web address at the bottom of the slide there. So selling products in Northern Ireland will be slightly different to selling products in Great Britain. The protocol on Ireland, Northern Ireland, as we said earlier, will come into effect on the 1st of January. Northern Ireland will remain aligned with the EU for manufactured goods, including construction products. That means that goods can continue to move freely in all parts of the island of Ireland. You can use your existing CE marking to place your goods under Northern Ireland. Your EU declaration of performance will continue to be valid, and your Northern Ireland customers remain as distributors. Therefore, you will not need to prepare any more information for them or provide them with access to your technical file. So here's a little graphic shot illustrating the difference. So a producer in Ireland, in the EU, is a manufacturer under EU law. Now, when they sell to a customer in Northern Ireland, that customer is still part of the single market, and they will be a distributor under EU law. And you will use your CE marking to be able to do that, to underpin that. However, when you sell to Great Britain, they are outside the single market. Therefore, your customers there will be importers under UK law and will take on additional responsibilities, and you should prepare for that. For next year, during the transition period, you can use both the UKCA mark and the CE mark. However, from the 1st of January 2022, you must use the UKCA mark as a CE mark, and EU declarations will no longer be valid in the UK. A little bit of talk about producers in Northern Ireland selling products from there to both Great Britain and the EU. As I said, Northern Ireland will have unhindered access to both the UK and EU markets. So if you're moving goods from Northern Ireland to Great Britain, you can use either an EU or a UK declaration of performance. A Northern Ireland manufacturer can, and they can mark their products with either a CA, a UKCA, or the new CE UKNA marks, and they are all perfectly acceptable in the UK. However, this does not apply to EU business shipping to Great Britain via Northern Ireland. The business must be based in Northern Ireland to use this. So if you're a manufacturer, say in Dublin, and you ship your products to Scotland via Northern Ireland, you will still be treated as an EU business, and you cannot make use of this. For trade between Northern Ireland and the EU, principally with Ireland, there should be no new paperwork, tariffs, or regulatory checks. They must continue to use an EU declaration of performance, and our goods must be CE marked or acquired by CPR. There's more information on the UK government's website, as you can see at the bottom of the screen here. So a quick graphic to illustrate that. A Northern Ireland manufacturer selling to an EU customer, their customer remains a distributor, but they must use the CE mark. they cannot use the CE UK NI mark selling into the EU. In contrast, when they sell to Great Britain, their customers will remain distributors, but will do so under UK law. But they have the option of using the UKCA, the CE UK NI mark, or the CE mark when doing so, and that's from the 1st of January. A couple of other little things to be aware of. First thing is wood packaging materials. ISPM 15 is a UN agreement which sets down standards for the treatment and marking of wood packaging materials, i.e. pallets and crates used in international trade. Regulation 2016-2031 is the EU's legal basis for doing so, and all products must be marked with the relevant mark and heat treated for them to be used. And as you can see, here is a mark that you must use, must occur on pallets. Because Great Britain will be outside the EU from the 1st of January, if you're importing products from Great Britain, the pallets or the crates that are coming on must be heat treated and must carry the mark from the 1st of January. Otherwise, they are likely to be stopped at Dublin Port. Now, be aware that there's somewhere around the region of 100 million pallets in the UK that are not marked to ISPM 15 standards and cannot be used for that trade. The same will apply when you're sending goods to Great Britain. You must make sure that all your pallets and crates have been treated and bear that mark. However, ISPM will not generally apply to crates and pallets for trades with Northern Ireland, as the EU regulation will continue to apply there and will be treated as part of the EU. The other thing to be aware of is for the first time in almost 50 years, there will be customs procedures to follow now when trading with Great Britain and the EU and outside the EU. As I said, the UK will leave the EU single market and customs union, which means that you'll be importing goods from a non-EU country when importing from Great Britain. You will require an import declaration. You may require an import safety and security declaration as well. The goods will be subject to customs control and they may require a license or due to certain rules on prohibited goods or restricted goods, and they may incur VAT, excise duty or customs duties. The opposite will apply when exporting goods to UK as a non-EU country. They will require an export declaration, including a safety and security declaration if required. They will be subject to customs control and they may require a license depending on the type of product it is. So what should you do in preparing for customs? Firstly, get an economic operator registration identification number, the EORI number. You will need that for all trade with Great Britain going forward. Look into how you will make customs declarations, and you may consider engaging a customs agent, though that will involve paying fees to the agent to do that work for you. Check if you need licenses or export permits and make sure you get them if you do. Examine your logistics. Try to avoid groupage. If all your products are in the same load and nobody else is there, you have control over that load and what happens to it. If they have to be on mixed loads, try to avoid loads that include food, plants, or animal materials. All of those will be certain to be undergo checking at customs. So there will be delays if your goods are on the same load as those, because as they undergo the checking. If you're trading with other EU member states, try and use the direct routes to Europe rather than going via the UK. As you know, there are more ferry routes being put on between Dublin, Rosslare and Cork and ports of Northern France, Belgium and the Netherlands, and also Spain. If you can't do that, check the requirements for using land bridge and make use of that if you can. And finally, as we said earlier, make sure all of your crates and pallets are ISPM 15 compliant and have the stamp on them. There's more information available from the Revenue Commissioner's website. So what can you do right now to reduce disruption? First, check your supply chain and make changes if necessary. If you use a UK notified body, transfer your certification to an EU 25 notified body, as John indicated earlier. Register for an EORI number with the Revenue Commissioners. You will need that, so the sooner you do it, the better it will be for you. Get the information you'll need as an importer from your UK suppliers and make sure that you can get access to their product information file or for their technical file from next year, and look at your logistics and see what you can do to reduce possible disruption going forward. Finally, where can you get further information? Well, the NSAI website, there's information there, including our latest fact sheet on construction, which was published today. As you can see, as John indicated earlier, there's information on his department's website, including their updated frequently asked questions. The Irish government website, www.gov.ie/Brexit, also has a lot of information that will be relevant. There's also information on the EU website, including the stakeholder document, which was referred to earlier by John, and there's a link to it. And finally, keep an eye out on the UK government website to see what changes are being put in place by the UK government themselves. And that marks the end of my presentation. I'd like to hand you back to Dee.
Okay, Michael, thank you very much. If you wouldn't mind, just stop sharing your screen there as well. So we'll, and John, if you can come back to us also. Okay, thank you so much, Michael. Great presentation, very detailed. There's a lot of permutations there for people to try and digest. Hopefully our participants aren't crying into their coffees at this stage, but I will try and get through a few questions now as well. I see there's a few coming through on the chat, so I might, John, I see you answered one there for us already, which is great. Paula Tynan is asking, where can you get a list of customs agents? Maybe you could take that for us, Michael.
I would say, generally, I don't know on that one. As I said, there are very few customs agents recently. I would say you might talk to revenue commissioners. They probably would have a list of agents that they would deal with. If not, you're looking at checking on the web to see what customs agents are out there, Googling it just to see who's available.
Okay, okay. And we have another question then in from Patrick. He asks, can you explain how the land bridge works, as I have several suppliers asking about this and what that looks like re-customs? So how does a land bridge work? He's got loads of different suppliers asking about this and what it look like re-customs.
The simplest thing on that one is a land bridge involves simplified customs declaration on it. The best people to talk to are actually the revenue commissioners, as they will be able to guide you through it. You'll make a much shorter customs declaration. You'll still require an EORI number. There'll be a lower chance of checks, so you make a simplified customs declaration. The load is on, it then goes into the UK. It goes through the UK with minimal checking to the port in, say, Dover or somewhere like that. And then when it gets to the far side to either French or European ports, they then go through the simplified declaration. The key thing on land bridge is it's treated as if the goods have not left the EU. So there are special arrangements concerning duties and VAT and things like that. The best place I said to talk to is the revenue commissioners, as they know the technical details on how it operates.
Okay. Okay, they're flying in now. Thanks, guys. So now this one, bear with me, because there's a few acronyms here. Would test reports obtained under System 3, AVCP, previously, be accepted by the UK for UK CA mark? Or would all new testing be required for an existing product? Do you want me to repeat that? Is that making any sense? Can you read that in the chat, guys? It might be a little bit easier for you as well. Test reports obtained under System 3 AVCP previously, can that be accepted by the UK for a UK CA mark? Or would all new testing be required for an existing product? How are you fixed for that one, guys? I don't know who wants to take that one.
I guess, I suppose, what is clear with the provisions of, whilst UK notified bodies will be delisted from the CPR NANDO database, I understand that they will be automatically listed for the purposes of being notified bodies for the UK CA mark. It's really a question for UK authorities, to be honest with you, unless, Michael, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'd agree with John on that. And the best advice I would tell you is talk to your approved body in the UK before you start the process if you're going to UK CA marker products, and they should be able to give you the specific guidance on what they would accept going forward to enable you to get that mark.
Okay.
So the advice I can give you is when you engage with your UK approved body, ask them what you need to do and what will be acceptable, and then follow their guidance when doing it.
Okay. And just on notified bodies, I mean, how do you know if your notified body is certified in the UK? I'm sure it's been covered, but maybe you could give us a brief on that.
The UK have said that they will be putting up a UK equivalent to the NANDA website, in which they will be listing all UK approved bodies for each of the UK's product legislation. Best thing to do is keep an eye on the UK government's website, and when they put up the link to that, you should then be able to follow that link to it. It will go live, they've said, on the 1st of January, so we haven't got the web address now, but it will be there on the UK government's website, and that's where you'll get them from.
Okay, Pat Enright has a question here. Will the local authority still be the enforcement authority? Maybe John might be able to deal with that one. Will the local authority still be the enforcement authority, John?
Okay, so the 31 building control authorities at the moment are the market surveillance authorities, and they will continue to be market surveillance authorities. However, I suppose when dealing with matters that go beyond the jurisdiction of the local authority and that represent the national interest, the National Building Control Office will have full powers to bring the non-compliance back into conformity and up to including the legal enforcement aspects of it. But for the purposes of, I think it leads to a stronger regime to have local authority involvement still in market surveillance at a local level, but the national body will be the National Building Control Office within Dublin City Council.
Okay, great, thank you, John. Okay, another question in from Andrew Crowley. European accreditation, the 1st of the 1st, 2021, loss of UCAS status and accreditation body. UK calibration laboratories no longer can provide calibration services which are valid. So I think this is more of a statement rather than a question. UK calibration laboratories no longer can provide calibration services which are valid under CPR. Do you want to make a comment on that, guys? I think it is more, Andrew, you're supposed to just letting people know that. We might come back to that in a moment. So
I think what would be useful if people and it's within our FAQs as well, that if people refer to the European accreditation website, there's a clear declaration on I suppose what the status is of UCAS within the EA family. It's very clear that UCAS will have no longer involvement where there is a requirement under the CPR for accreditation services.
Okay. That's great. Thank you, John. Michael is asking, what delays do we expect with the land bridge and simplified, oh, sorry, my screen's jumping there. What delays do we expect with land bridge and simplified declaration delay at Dublin and likely or required as the goods arrive from the UK? So what delays do we expect in the land bridge and delays with UK import traffic from EU or separate channel available? Michael, you might take that for us then.
Yeah, I think the best thing to talk to that is that you should really talk to the revenue commissioners, as they will be operating land bridge. If you know that they are doing a number of webinars similar to what we're doing now, and it is covered within those webinars. So my best advice is look at this, the Revenue Commissioner's webinars, and also check on the Revenue Commissioner's website. There is information there. This is really a customs rather than a product certification matter, and they are the real experts on that one.
Sure. Okay. Miriam is asking a question I'm sure a lot of people are thinking. If a product is, sorry, bear with me. If a product is not compliant by the 1st of the 1st, 2021, what will be the repercussions?
Well, I suppose it presents itself as an unlawful situation, which you'll be subject to market surveillance enforcement. I suppose as well as that, the reliance of your end users on such a product, you know, when they come to sign off on a building, for example, they will want to see that the product has been lawfully marketed and that they can rely on its certification to support in turn their certification of a building, for example.
John, do you think there'll be any leeway there? I know there are a couple of deadlines that are pushed out till the end of 2021, but in terms of, I suppose, not being compliant on, say, the first day of January, is there any wriggle room there for people?
market surveillance authorities, they're not designed to put people out of business. They're designed to work with the economic operators to regularize the situation. They will assess the risk as in each individual case as arises as to what that presents to the health and safety and well-being of people, at the end of the day. So each situation would be looked at in its own right.
Okay. We have a question from Philip. What are the primary obligations for Irish specifiers? Is there a proposed step-by-step approach? Michael, maybe you could take that one for us. Primary obligations for Irish specifiers.
I think this might be more one for John on this.
Okay.
It's more building regulations as opposed to product certification.
Sure.
Yeah. So I suppose ever since CPR came into force, it's one of the messages that we keep on repeating. Specifiers need to be aware of, I suppose, the products in which they're obviously specifying that they, if they're, say, referencing to a harmonized standard, that they would have to ensure that it has a declaration of performance, that they'd review that declaration of performance, make sure that the performances are suitable for their end use. NSAI themselves have also published some standard recommendations that support the harmonized standards, and they help end users make decisions on which performances are suitable for a particular end use. With those two combined, then our building regulations or technical guidance documents regularly refer to these standard recommendations, and that will be the basis of being able to prove a fitness for purpose for incorporating it into whatever works are being done. So keep an eye out for, I suppose, that NSAI's website does have a lot of standard recommendations that support harmonized standards. And yeah, so.
Okay, great stuff, John. I see we're running a little bit over, so I might just have time for one more question. There's something in there from Archie. So Archie is saying the factory gate definition is causing some confusion. If the manufacturer places stock in their warehouse before the 1st of January, it has had to have a CE mark affixed within this transition. Will this allow for some wriggle room? And then 2, for machinery and equipment, as these are mostly AVCP4 and as such self-certification, is it correct we won't be checking these for EU 27 registered NANDO address? So I might go with the first one first. Michael, you look like you're ready to answer there.
Well, the first thing is on transition on products that will be placed on the market sometime in and around the transition day, i.e. on the 1st of January. The EU has actually issued specific guidance on that. And once a product has been placed on the EU market before 11 p.m. on the 31st of December this year, it is legally on the market and can be used anytime after that. Now, what they've said is that it has to have a customer who has been invoiced and that the product must have left the factory and be on its way to the customer no later than, I said, 11 p.m. on the 31st of December. So if you've got a manufacturer in the UK and they load it onto the back of a lorry and it's out the gates of the lorry and heading towards the ferry at 10:55, it will be a legal product that can be placed legally on the market in the EU and sold, even if it arrives after that date in the EU.
Okay.
However, if they put on the back of the truck and it doesn't leave the factory until 11 on that date, it can no longer legally be placed on the EU market. And that's a key thing to be aware of that one. And why they have that is that they're aware that, there are certain products, have long lead-in times and things like that, and is to help manufacturers with that. So that's the key thing, and they have issued guidance on that. So if you follow the links to the EU website, you should be able to find that there amongst their notices on Brexit.
Okay. Great. Okay, look, the questions are flying in. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. I might just squeeze one last one in, guys. James is asking, for Irish contractors, apart from keeping constant dialogue with your supply chain to ensure that they're prepared, is there any other advice that you guys could recommend? So for Irish contractors. between now? I think, what have we got, 83 days? Any last bits of advice?
I was supposed the best advice you can give the people is whatever you can keep within the boundaries of the EU, keep within the EU boundaries going forward, whether that's purchasing products, whether it's testing, whether it's certification of products. If the service you're using or the manufacturer you're using is within the EU, they're within the single market, you should avoid the problems of dealing with a third country then. And that's the simplest advice I can give to people.
John, anything to add there, or has Michael covered it?
Yeah, no, I think Michael has covered it. I think it's really important that people have an awareness of their supply chain, and whether that's for the project that you're building, you know, in the next couple of weeks, or if it's something that's 18 months down the line, some of these decisions get embedded early into the process. So to ensure that you've got a resilient supply chain that can deliver compliant goods is in everyone's interest, and that will avoid any unnecessary delay when it comes to certification of buildings.
Okay. Okay, guys, thanks so much for your insights this morning. I think it was really helpful. Can I just remind people that the presentation slides, so both Michael and John's slides, will be available. We're going to send that out via email tomorrow after the webinar is completed, because you'll appreciate there's a lot of participants today, so you will get those in full tomorrow. We also obviously have the fact sheets available on nsai.ie/Brexit. I know, John, on your website as well, you have those updated FAQs. So they should answer a lot of the questions. Michael, is there any kind of email address you want to just remind people of again, if they have particular questions they want answered?
Yes, you can contact us at brexitunit@nsai.ie.
Okay, great stuff. So listen, thanks again, guys. Really enjoyable, and I suppose we'll see what happens over the next 83 days. Thank you all so much for your contributions this morning. Bye-bye.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.